Hello and welcome to Python Object-Oriented Programming course. My name is George Shorkar. I am full-stack web developer, Python programmer and online instructor. Here I come with a new course related Python Object-Oriented Programming for beginners. This course specially designed for beginners who just want to learn the concept of object-oriented programming. I have described object-oriented programming very simply in this course. In this course, I'm going to cover all the concepts related object-oriented programming: classes, object, encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance, abstraction, etc. And these are all the topics that I'm going to cover in this tutorial series. We are going to learn what is the difference between instance variable and class variable. We are going to learn about self and init constructors, class method, alternative constructors, all type of inheritance, private, protected and access specifiers, super and overriding classes, diamond shape problems, etc. After cover all of this concept, we are going to create a mini project based on object-oriented programming. We are going to create a library management system, and it would be a good mini project for beginners to understand the concept of object-oriented programming. This course is for beginners, not for the nerds. This is not a very advanced level course, but for a beginner, it's a good one. So what are you waiting for? Let's get started. So let's try to understand what is object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming is a programming language model organized around objects rather than action and rather than logic. First of all, it is not a programming language. It is simply a model to write code. There are many programming languages that support object-oriented programming. Here we use objects rather than functions. Let's try to understand it in a simple way. For instance, an object could represent a person with properties like a name, age, addresses, and behaviors such as walking, talking, breathing, and running. So we can call a person an object, and we can call their properties classes. We are going to learn about classes in our upcoming tutorials. Now, what is object-oriented programming in Python? Like every other object-oriented programming language, it allows you to define classes, to create objects. And inbuilt classes are most common data types in Python, such as string, list, dictionaries, and so on. Now the question is, what is class? A class is a collection of instance variables and related methods that define a particular object type. You can think of a class as an object blueprint or a template, and attributes are the names given to the variables that make up a class. And a class instance with a defined set of properties is called an object. As a result, this same class can be used to construct as many objects as needed. Basically, I want to say we can reuse our classes to create multiple objects. It's a blueprint that we can use multiple times. Now the question is, what is the benefit of using object-oriented programming? It is allowed to break the program into the bit-sized problems that can be solved easily. And also it follows dry concept. Dry means do not repeat yourself. We will understand later why I said this. Welcome back guys. This is our first tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial we are going to learn concept of object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming concept made with 4 pillars. Our first pillar is encapsulation, and the second pillar is abstraction, and third one is inheritance, and our last pillar is polymorphism. And in this tutorial we are going to learn what is encapsulation. Then one by one we are going to learn all the pillars. So let's try to understand what is the meaning of encapsulation in terms of object-oriented programming. Encapsulation is defined as the wrapping up of the data under a single unit. What is the meaning of it? Basically, using encapsulation, we can encapsulate data. Let's see an example and try to understand when encapsulation is handy. Suppose we create total 3 variables, A, B, and C. And after create the variable, we type thousands line of code. And after 1000 line of code, by mistake, I create the same variable name. As you can see, B. It means the B variable is already exist in our document. It's going to create a problem. Some programming language doesn't allow it. And some programming language override the variable and assign a new value. So, to resolve this kind of problem, we used encapsulation. So using encapsulation, we capsulate this data. And after encapsulate this data, also we make it private. And after make it private, no one can access it outside, unless you are doing allow. It means if you redeclare the variable outside of this capsule, then it acts like a different variable. And it's not going to conflict the variable name again. It means these variables are work for only a particular class. And also you can use the same variable name in a different class. And then you can create another variable name using B. Basically, I want to say we can control the name conflict using encapsulation. So I hope now it's clear for you what is encapsulation, and we are going to learn about it practically in our upcoming tutorials. And here I just discussed the concept of object-oriented programming. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Good to see you back, guys. Once again, I'm back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn what is abstraction. As I told you, this is the second pillar of object-oriented programming. So let's try to understand what is the meaning of abstraction. Abstraction is the concept of object-oriented programming that shows only essential attributes and hides unnecessary information. In simple language, showing what is necessary and hide what is not necessary. It doesn't care about anything else. It just needs necessary data. For example, we have a computer and it's made with mouse, keyboard, display, CPU. And if you want to move the cursor, you need to move mouse. But I don't want to know how was the mouse made and what is inside the mouse. It is not necessary for me. My purpose is just to move the mouse. I don't want to know what is going on in the background. What is inside the mouse is hidden from us. And in terms of object-oriented programming, we call it abstraction. We do not want to show unnecessary information to the user. Let's try to understand it in a more simpler way. Suppose this is you, and you ask your father for some money. And it is your father's responsibility to bring the money. And you don't need to know where your father got the money from. You just create the demand and your father supply it. This concealment concept is called abstraction. I hope now it's clear for you. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again, I'm back with a new tutorial, and in this tutorial, we are going to learn the third concept of object-oriented programming, which is inheritance. In our previous tutorial, we learned about encapsulation and abstraction, and in this tutorial, we are going to learn inheritance. And this is one of the most important concepts of object-oriented programming. We use inheritance with class objects. So let's try to understand what is inheritance. In simple words, inheritance means inherit something. I want to say getting something from generation to generation is called inheritance. And if I talk about the real example, you get property from your father and your son also get property from you. And we call this mechanism inheritance. And now the question is, what is inheritance in object-oriented programming? Inheritance allows us to define a class that inherits all the methods and properties from another class. Now let's try to understand it in a simpler terms with a picture. Suppose this is your grandfather, and your grandfather owned a lot of land in the past. So at object-oriented term, we can call your grandfather grandparent class. And then he decide to give all the lands to his son, means your father. I want to say your father get property from your grandfather. But your father himself owned lot of properties. Your father bought many shares. So your father now owns two types of properties. So he can sell his land and his own shares if he wish. But your father decide to transfer his ancestral property and shares to your name. But you yourself have made a lot of properties. You have lot of cryptocurrencies. So if you want, you can use your own cryptocurrency, otherwise your father's shares, otherwise your grandfather lands. But your grandfather cannot use your father's share. Also, your father cannot use your cryptocurrencies. But your father can use his father's lands. But your grandfather is not authorized to use his son's shares. Similarly, your father cannot use your cryptocurrencies. But you have to access all of it. You can use land, you can use shares, and also you can use your own cryptocurrencies. Basically, we control repeatability using inheritance. Now, let's understand it with object-oriented term. Suppose your grandfather land is a function and your father's share is also function. So you don't need to type both the function in your child class. You can access it when you want. But your grandfather and your father cannot access your properties. I hope now it's clear for you what is inheritance. I have tried to explain you in a very simple way. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Good to see you back, guys. Once again, I'm back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn last concept of object-oriented programming, which is polymorphism. So the first question is, what is polymorphism? And what is the usage of polymorphism in object-oriented programming? The word polymorphism means having many forms. In programming, polymorphism means the same function name being used for different types. Let's try to understand it in a simple way. We all have spoken to customer care at some point in our lives. And when we call customer care, we are asked to press different number for different tasks. This is exactly where polymorphism works. Suppose here we define a function named press button. And inside this function, we have total 4 blocks. Block 1, block 2, block 3 and block 4. If we press 1, it's going to call the function. But it's going to run this block statement, number 1 block statement. And this block going to show us the balance. Similarly, if you press 2, it's going to call the function. But it's going to execute this block statement. And it's going to return validity. And similar for internet data, we need to press 3. And if you want to talk to customer care executive, in that case, you need to press 4. Here we have only one function, but it can show different result according to input. According to input, this function going to choose which block user want to see. And then polymorphism run the particular block only. So this is the concept of polymorphism. We are going to learn more about it in our practical session. Here I just try to introduce you what is the concept of object-oriented programming. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Age. In my previous tutorials, I introduced you what is object-oriented programming and what is the concept of object-oriented programming. But today, from this tutorial, we are going to start our practical journey. And in this tutorial, I'm going to create our first class, an object. So as you can see, I am in my Visual Studio Code editor and I already created a Python file main.py. And here I'm going to create a class. Now the question is, why we use class? We reduce code repeatability using class. And classes are very useful to organize our code. So let's create a class. To create a class, we need to type class keyword, class. And then we need to pass a class name. In our case, student. And then we need to use colon. Basically, here I'm going to create a simple class. And inside this class, just I'm going to type pass. For now, I don't want to fill any data in my class. That's why I use pass. Otherwise, it's going to return error. Pass means nothing. And inside this class, I do not create any template. Now it's completely blank. Generally, we type some code inside the class. But for now, you need to assume that this is a complete template. And now we have 2 students. Our first student name is add1. And I want to derive my student using this class. So I'm going to call the class name. And our class name is student. And then we need to use round braces. And we have another student which is made with this same class. So I'm going to duplicate this line and our student name is Smith. So as you can see, we assign the class both of the student, add1 and Smith. So basically, we create 2 objects using this class. Our class is never empty. We always fill some data in this class. But this is our first tutorial, so I don't want to deep dive. And as I told you, these are 2 different objects now. Let me prove you that. So here I'm going to type print. Inside the round braces, I'm going to call these 2 variables, add1 and Smith. So here I'm going to type add1. And then I'm going to call Smith. If I run my code, after run the code, you can see now we have 2 objects in different memory location. Main.student.object at this location and main.student.object in this location. Now it's clear these are 2 different objects. And now I'm going to create instance variable using these 2 objects. But the question is, what is instance variable? Basically, I want to say we can set variables in this object. Let me show you. So at first, I'm going to add instance variable in this object, add1. Add1 dot name equal to, inside the double quotes, add1. The student name is add1. Now I'm going to set another variable, which is add1 dot age equal to 21. And also I'm going to add another instance variable to the add1, which is add1 dot section. So here I want to type add1 dot section equal to 1. So as you can see, we pass 3 instance variable to this object. Now let's kill the terminal and print add1 dot name, then set this file and run this code. Now you can see it print add1. It's written the instance variable value, name. Similarly, if I print add1 dot age and then set the file and run the code, now you can see it print 21. So we pass 3 instance variable to this object. We can do the same thing with Smith, and also we can add different instance variable to Smith. Let me show you. So I'm going to duplicate these lines, and here I'm going to type, remove the add1, I'm going to type Smith, Smith.name, Smith, Smith.age, which is 23. And I don't want to add section to Smith. I want to add Smith height. So here I'm going to type Smith dot height. And inside the double quotes, I'm going to pass 160 centimeter. And now I want to print add1 age and Smith height. So I'm going to use comma, and here I want to type Smith, Smith dot height. If I set this file and run the code, as you can see, now it's print 21 from add1 age and 160 centimeter from Smith height. But if I pass Smith.section, let me show you, and then set this file and run the code, now you can see it's written error because we do not pass section instant variable for Smith. So normally it's written error. But generally we create a template in our class and we set all the necessary variables to this template. Name, standard, section, whatever variable we need. And we can pass any kind of data type in our template. We can pass string, number, list, etc. So this is a simple introduction of class. We create 2 objects using this class, and our class name is student. Add1 and Smith both are derived from student class, and now they are object. And also we learn how we can set instance variable to our object. This is the very basic introduction of class and object. And from our next tutorial, we are going to deep dive into it. We are going to learn what is class variable, what is constructor, what is alternative constructor, static method, abstraction, encapsulation, etc. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next 5. Good to see you back, guys. Once again, I'm back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. In our previous tutorial, we'll learn about what is instance variable. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn about what is class variable. If I set this file and run this code, as you can see, it's going to return this student age. And as I told you in our previous tutorial, it's an instance variable. This variable is only work for this object, add1. And now I'm going to create a variable which is going to work on every object. To create it, we need to use class variable. But the question is, why we need to use class variable? Because our object derived from this class. Our object created from this class. That's why we need to use it. So now we need a variable that is already in the template. So I'm going to create a variable inside the student class. And our variable name is number of leaves. Number underscore of underscore leaves. So we use a class variable in our student class. So if I print add1 dot number of leaves and then set this file and run this code, as you can see, now it's written 10. This is not the personal property of this object. This value comes from student class and which is same for all of this object. If I print Smith dot number of leaves, let me show you, Smith dot number of leaves and then set this file and run this code, now you can see also it returned 10 because both the object derived from this class. So we can access class property using object. Not only object, you can access this variable also from the class. Let me show you. If I pass student here, let me show you student dot number of leaves and then set this file and run this code. As you can see, it's written 10. And if you want to change the value, you cannot change the value from any object. You can change it through the class only. Let me show you. Let's try to change number of leaves using Smith object. So here I'm going to type Smith dot number of leaves equal to 5. And if I print the same statement after it, let me show you, and then save this file and run my code. As you can see, it do not change. We cannot change class variable value from an object. But this line create an instance variable for Smith object. If I comment out this line, and if I print inside the round braces Smith dot number of leaves, and then save this file and run the code, now you can see it's written 5. Because this line create a new instance variable to Smith object. That's why it's written 5. That's why it's override the class variable and it's written 5. But if you notice, you can see our class variable still written 10. Let me prove you that. So I'm going to kill the terminal and comment out both the lines. And now I'm going to call a attribute which is dictionary attribute, dict attribute. So here I'm going to type print inside the round braces. I'm going to call add1 dot underscore underscore dict. And also I'm going to duplicate this line. And this time I'm going to run it for Smith. If I save the file and run this code, now you can see in add1 object we have total 3 property value. But in Smith object we have total 4 property value. Additional value is number of leaves 5. Because we pass this instance variable. So remember, you cannot change main class property through an object. I want to say you can change class variable value from the class only. This is a property of a class and it's part of the template. Basically, it's going to share this value all the objects which is made by this class, and our class name is student. So I hope now it's clear for you what is the difference between class variable and instance variable. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again I am back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial we are going to learn self and underscore underscore init constructor. In our previous tutorial we learned about what is instance variable and what is class variable, and what is the difference between these two variables. So at first I'm going to create a method inside this class. So I'm going to remove pass. And as you know, methods are function. So here I'm going to type def and our function name is print details. Then inside the round braces I'm going to use a keyword which is self. It's a parameter. Next, inside this function, and for now here I'm going to type pass. Now the question is, what is self? Self means the object which made with this class. Suppose I want to run print details function for add1. Add1 dot print details. In that case, self would be add1. To make it clear, I'm going to return a statement. So here I'm going to type return. Return, and I'm going to use fstring. Fstring inside the double quotes. Name is inside the curly braces, and now I want to access the add1 object using self. So here I'm going to pass self dot name, and as you can see we pass a instant variable add1 dot name. It means it's going to return add1 name, and also I'm going to print age is inside the curly braces self dot age. Just you need to understand self means the object on which the function will invoke. So let's call the function and try to print add1 details. So here I'm going to type print, and inside the round braces I'm going to type add1 dot print details. So let's save the code and run it. As you can see in my terminal, it's print name is add1, age is 21. But if you notice, you can see we do not pass any parameter in print details function. So this is the usage of self method. It can identify the object, and also we can access object instance variable using self. Similarly, if you want to print Smith details Then you need to duplicate this line, and here you need to pass Smith object name. Smith. If I save this file and comment out this one and save it again and run this code, now you can see in my terminal it's print name is Smith, age is 23. So this is the rule of object-oriented programming. By default, it's going to send this object as a parameter. Let me prove you that. If I remove self from it and then save this code and run it, as you can see, it's written error. But it's print student.printDetails takes 0 positional argument, but 1 was given. It's mean by default, it sent 1 argument to this function. That's why we need to use self to handle this argument. So here we need to pass self again. So I hope now it's clear for you what is self. So in that way, we implement methods in our class. And you can create multiple methods as much as you want. And now we are going to learn what is constructor. So as you can see, when we create the object, manually we need to pass the instance variables to this object. But what if we pass the argument to the student class? And through this argument, we can pass the values, name at 1, age 21, section 1. Then it would be great. Let me show you what I want to say. So I'm going to comment out these lines. I want to send argument to this class. Let me show you. At first, we need to pass the name. Name at 1, comma, age 21, comma, section 1. Like that way. But if I save this file and print add1.name, let me show you, add1.name, and run this code, as you can see, it's written error. As you can see, our class students take no arguments. So the process of passing arguments to a class is called constructor. And to pass arguments in our class, we need to create init constructor. And to use init method, we need to type def underscore underscore init, INIT, and it's take self as an argument. And now we can accept instance variable as an argument. For that, after self, we need to pass the variable's name. Name. Our second variable is age. And our third variable is height. And as I told you, self means the object. And init is a constructor method. It's when using it, we construct the object. And now inside the init's constructor, I'm going to create instance variable using these arguments. Let me show you. So here I'm going to type self dot name. So our variable name is name. Assign with our argument, which is name. Remember, this is variable name and this is parameter name. You can use different parameter name. So here I'm going to pass S means student name, S age, student age, S height, student height. And now we need to assign this name with this variable, S name. And now I'm going to create another instance variable for student age and student height. So I'm going to type self dot age equal to S age and self dot height equal to S height. And now we are able to send arguments when we create the object. So here I'm going to pass the height. Height, inside the double quotes, 156 centimeter. And for Smith, I'm going to pass name, Smith. And Smith age is, comma, 23. And Smith height is 171 centimeter. And now I want to call printDetails function from student class. But before, I want to add height in our return statement. So I'm going to type and height is inside the curly braces self dot height. If I save this file and if I call add1 dot print detail and run this code, as you can see, it's print all the details of add1. Name is add1, age is 21, and height is 156 centimeter. Similarly, if I call this function for Smith and then save this file, Smith.printDetails, and then save this file and run this code, now you can see it's print name is Smith, age is 23 and height is 171 centimeter. So if we use constructor, then we can send data as an argument. Otherwise, we cannot send data in our class as an argument. It's going to return error. As you can see, these arguments go to the init method. Then we assign this parameter in this variable. For sname, we use name variable. For sh, we use age variable. And for sheight, we use height variable. And we can access all this variable in our print detail function using self. Self.name, self.age, self.height. So I hope now it's clear for you what is self and init constructor. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Good to see you back, guys. Once again, I am back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn what is class method. In our previous tutorial, we learned about what is the usage of self and what is init constructor. But in this tutorial, we are going to learn about class methods. What is class method? In one sentence, a class method is a method that is bound to a class rather than its object. Let me simplify it. But before, as you can see, we create two instance variables using this class, add1 and Smith. And for now, I'm going to remove these unnecessary lines. I don't need it. Let me give you a situation for the demonstration. Suppose you want to change class variable. You want to change number of leaves 10 to 15. And if you want to change class variables, as I told you, you cannot change class variable from the instance. For that, you need to change it from this class. And if you want to change it from the instance, it's going to create a new instance variable. But it cannot override the class variable. Suppose, inside this class, I want to create a function, and through this function, I want to change the number of leaves. I don't want to change number of leaves through a variable. I want to change it from a function. For that, we need to use class method. And as I told you, self is necessary when we create a function inside the class. But I want to avoid this self. For that, we need to use a decorator. So here, I'm going to use a class method decorator. So in the next line, I'm going to type @class method. It's a decorator. Now the question is, what is decorator in Python? In one sentence, a decorator is a design pattern in Python that allows a user to add new functionality to an existing object without modifying its structure. So after calling this decorator, I'm going to create the function. So here I'm going to type def, and our function name is change leaves. So I'm going to type change underscore leaves. Then inside the round braces, this time I do not pass self, and I'm going to call a new parameter, which is CLS. Now the question is, what is CLS? CLS means the class which instance is this object, Smith. With that, I'm going to take another argument, which is new leaves. New underscore leaves. And inside this function, I'm going to type class dot number of leaves equal to new leaves. And I'm not going to return anything. So this class method allows to change leaves through the instance variable. Let me show you. So here I want to set new leaves. I'm going to type add1 dot, and our function name is change leaves. And here I need to pass only one argument, new leaves. And I'm going to set 35. And if I print add1 dot number of leaves, let me show you. Add1 dot number of leaves. Accept this file and run this code. As you can see, it's returned 35. So as you can see, we changed the class variable using class method. You might think this line create a new instance variable to this add1 object. No, it's not. We also can access with Smith. So here I'm going to pass Smith dot number of leaves. As you can see, by default number of leaves is 10, and as you can see, we access it from an instance variable Smith. If I save this file and run this code, now you can see it's also written 35. But here you can see we change number of leaves using add one instance, not the Smith instance. But it's also work for Smith. Not only that, also we can access with class if I pass student here, student dot number of leaves, and set this file and run this code. As you can see, it's written 35, not 10. So this is the usage of class method. It is allow us to change class variable using instance variable. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Good to see you back, guys. Once again, I'm back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. In our previous tutorial, we'll learn about how we can create class method. But in this tutorial, we are going to learn how can we use class method as an alternative constructor. How you can create instance using class method. So in our previous tutorial, we create a function named changeLeaf. So if I change leaf using add1, also it reflect on Smith number of leaves. Because using this class method, we change class variable. It do not change instance variable value. It's change class variable value. So let's see how can we use class method as an alternative constructor. So at first, inside this class, I'm going to declare a class method. @class method. Then what? If we create an object by a string and we don't need to pass any parameter like this. So here I'm going to create a function. Def, and our function name is from str underscore str. This means string. Then inside the round braces, our first argument is class. And our next argument is string. I want to pass a string and this function going to convert the string into an object like add1 and Smith. I want to create a constructor. Let me more simplify it. For now, inside this function, I'm going to type pass. And I want to create another object. And for this object, I'm going to take Oliver as a name. Oliver equal to, and she is also a student. So I'm going to call our class student. Then inside the round braces, I don't want to pass any parameter. Now I want to pass a simple string. I don't want to pass parameter like this using comma between them. At first in our string, I'm going to pass student name Oliver. Then I'm going to pass age, but this time I'm not going to use comma. This time I'm going to use dash sign. Dash, age is 24. Dash, height is 154 centimeter. So basically you can see here we pass one single parameter as a string, but this function going to convert this parameter into an object. Also this function going to identify the student name, student age and student height. But the problem is if I change in init constructor, then this two line not going to work correctly. It's not going to add the object. It's going to return an error. Also it's going to return error if I run this file now. Let me show you. If I run this file, as you can see, it's written error. Here you can see in our message, we seem to require positional argument sh and sheight because here we pass only one parameter. To resolve this problem, I'm going to call this function. So I'm going to copy the function name from str and after student, I'm going to use dot from str function. Now this function going to take this argument as a string. So at first, inside this function, I'm going to take a variable and I'm going to take the variable name item. Item equal to, and I'm going to call this variable string dot, also I'm going to call a method named split. And inside the round braces, we need to pass the letter or the sign. Here I want to split the string from dash sign. That's why I pass this sign. So this function divide our string into a three part, Oliver 24 and 154 centimeter, and return a new list. And then I'm going to return CLS. CLS means the object we work with. Then inside the round braces, and here I want to return all the items number which we get from the string. So here I'm going to type item inside the square braces index number 0. As you know, our list start with 0 index. That's why our first index number is 0. And then I'm going to pass item 1 and item 2. So here I'm going to type item inside the square braces 1, comma, item inside the square braces 2. Now, this from str function going to return to this result to this object. So when we create this Oliver instance using this class function from str, then first it's going to send the string in this function from str, then split the string using this sign. So it create total 3 list item and return to this instance again through this class. It's mean it's going to return the same result like that. So if I print Oliver, so I'm going to comment out this line and here I'm going to type print inside the round braces Oliver dot age, and save this file and run the code in my terminal. As you can see, it's written the age 24, and here you can see in my string age is 24. So we create an alternative constructor using this function from str, but here we need to use class method. So here we create an alternative constructor which take string argument and it's convert the string into an object. And remember, here you can pass any sign. If your data divided by slash, let me show you, slash, and also we need to change the slash here. And if I save this file and run this code, as you can see, also it's work. So I hope now you can understand what is the usage of class method and how we can create alternative constructor using class method. So this is it for this tutorial. In our upcoming tutorial, we are going to learn what is static method. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned. Good to see you back, guys. Once again, I am back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn what is static method. In our previous tutorial, we learned how we can use class method as an alternative constructor. Suppose now I want a simple method, not for instance variable, not for class variable. I don't want to access instance variable, otherwise class variable. I just want to put a method inside a class. Suppose you want to print something after otherwise before. For that, you can use a static method. Let me show you. And similar to class method, we need to use a decorator to create static method. So here, we need to type @static method. And inside this method, I want to print a statement. So here, I'm going to create a function, def, and our function name is print hello. Print underscore hello. Then inside the round braces, I'm going to pass a parameter, string. Then inside this function, and here I'm going to type print inside the round braces, inside the double quotes, hello and welcome. Then I'm going to use concatenation sign and I'm going to pass the parameter string. So I want to create a function which is not going to take self as an argument, otherwise class as an argument. It is directly not related to this object. Now the question is, why we put it in a class? Why we need to use static method? Because I want to run this function only for this object. That's why we need to create static method. I just want to run it for student object. So let's call the function using instance. So here I'm going to call this function print smith dot print hello. Print hello. Also we need to pass an argument. So inside the double quotes I'm going to pass Smith. So let's set the file and run the function. As you can see in my terminal, it's print hello welcome Smith. We need to provide a space after welcome. Then we need to set this file and again I run it. As you can see, hello and welcome Smith. But the question is, it's written none because we do not return anything in this function. That's why it's written none. If I type return keyword, return, and here I'm going to type inside the double quotes hi. If I set this file and run this code, as you can see, now it's written hi. You can pass anything, otherwise any value, otherwise any variable that you want to return. And I don't want to return anything in our static method. That's why I'm going to remove this line and I'm going to set this file. To increase the efficiency, we need to use static method. Otherwise, by default, it takes self as a parameter. If there is no usage of self, in that case, you can use static method. And remember, also you can call this function with the class student. So I hope now it's clear for you what is the usage of static method. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again, I'm back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn what is abstraction and encapsulation. We already learned about it in our introduction section. So let's recap the video and try to understand what is abstraction. Abstraction is the concept of object-oriented programming that shows only essential attributes and hides unnecessary information. In simple language, showing what is necessary and hide what is not necessary. It doesn't care about anything else. It just needs necessary data. For example, we have a computer and it's made with mouse, keyboard, display, CPU. And if you want to move the cursor, you need to move mouse. But I don't want to know how was the mouse made and what is inside the mouse. It is not necessary for me. My purpose is just to move the mouse. I don't want to know what is going on in the background. What is inside the mouse is hidden from us. And in terms of object-oriented programming, we call it abstraction. We do not want to show unnecessary information to the user. Let's try to understand it in a more simpler way. Suppose this is you, and you ask your father for some money. And it is your father's responsibility to bring the money. And you don't need to know where your father got the money from. You just create the demand and your father supply it. This concealment concept is called abstraction. So in simple terms, abstraction means divide in parts. Here you can see we create a class for students only. Similarly, we can create class for teachers also. Suppose if you want to specify a school definition, a school consists of teacher, student and staff. So we can create particular class for teacher, student and staff. But I don't want to know all the student name, all the teacher's name and all the staff names. I just want particular segment data. I don't want to know how teacher teach their student. I just want teacher's data. So the conclusion is student is one layer of abstraction. Similarly, teachers and staff also. I create student class, you create teacher class and someone create staff class. And I don't have any interest what you write inside the teacher's class. I just want to use this class. This is called abstraction. Now, let's talk about the encapsulation. What is encapsulation? Encapsulation is defined as the wrapping up of the data under a single unit. What is the meaning of it? Basically, using encapsulation, we can encapsulate data. Let's see an example and try to understand when encapsulation is handy. Suppose we create total 3 variables, A, B and C. And after create the variable, we type thousands line of code. And after 1000 line of code, by mistake, I create the same variable name. As you can see, B. It's mean the B variable is already exist in our document. It's going to create a problem. Some programming language doesn't allow it. And some programming language override the variable and assign a new value. So, to resolve this kind of problem, we used encapsulation. So using encapsulation, we capsulate this data. And after encapsulate this data, also we make it private. And after make it private, no one can access it outside, unless you are doing allow. It's mean if you redeclare the variable outside of this capsule, then it act like a different variable. And it's not going to conflict the variable name again. It's mean these variables are work for only a particular class. And also you can use the same variable name in a different class. And then you can create another variable name using B. Basically, I want to say we can control the name conflict using encapsulation. Here you can see we create a variable number of leaves. And I want to run this variable only for student class, not for teachers. I don't want to create this variable global. I just want to access it through this class only. Similarly, I want to run print details function only for students, not for teachers and staffs. So we need to encapsulate this data. I hope now it's clear for you. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Welcome back everyone. Once again, I am back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn what is inheritance. In our previous tutorial, we'll learn about abstraction and encapsulation. But in this tutorial, we are going to learn inheritance. Now the question is, what is inheritance? In a simple word, inheritance means inherit something from generation to generation. I want to say getting something to generation is called inheritance. Let's clear the concept. inheritance allows us to define a class that inherits all the methods and properties from another class. Now let's try to understand it in a simpler terms with a picture. Suppose this is your grandfather, and your grandfather owned a lot of land in the past. So at object-oriented term, we can call your grandfather grandparent class. And then he decides to give all the lands to his son, means your father. I want to say your father get property from your grandfather. But your father himself owned lot of properties. Your father bought many shares. So your father now owns two types of properties. So he can sell his land and his own shares if he wish. But your father decides to transfer his ancestral property and shares to your name. But you yourself have made a lot of properties. You have lot of cryptocurrencies. So if you want, you can use your own cryptocurrency, otherwise your father's shares, otherwise your grandfather lands. But your grandfather cannot use your father's share. Also, your father cannot use your cryptocurrencies. But your father can use his father's lands. But your grandfather is not authorized to use his son's shares. Similarly, your father cannot use your cryptocurrencies. But you have to access all of it. You can use land, you can use shares, and also you can use your own cryptocurrencies. Basically, we control repeatability using inheritance. Now, let's understand it with object-oriented term. Suppose your grandfather's land is a function, and your father's share is also function. So you don't need to type both the function in your child class. You can access it when you want. But your grandfather and your father cannot access your properties. I hope now it's clear for you what is inheritance. I have tried to explain you in a very simple way. So here you can see again I am back to my Visual Studio Code editor. And I open my file main.py. Here you can see we create a class named student, and it contains some class method, static method, constructor and function. And also you can see we create total 3 instances using this class, Advanced, Smith and Oliver. Suppose they are all students of your school, but there are some students who love program. So I want to create a class named programmer. So here I'm going to type class programmer. So programmer is a student also, but I want to add some extra properties to the programmer class. I want to add what programming language they know. With that, I want to access all the properties, class methods, static methods, functions from student class. To do that, we have only 2 methods. We can copy the whole section and paste it and modify it in our programmer class. And this process doesn't make any sense, because then we do not follow the concept of code reusability. To resolve this problem, we need to inherit this class with this class. So I want to inherit programmer class with student class. And here I'm going to perform single level inheritance. Simply one class inherit with another class. So inside the round braces, I'm going to type our class name student. Then inside the indentation level, for now I'm going to type pass. Now programmer class can access all the properties from student class, also their functions, class method. And now I'm going to create an instance using programmer class. Let me show you. So here I'm going to create a variable, and our variable name is Rohan. Rohan equal to, but this time I'm going to call programmer class, programmer. And inside the round braces, we need to pass total 3 parameters: student name, student age, and student height. So simply I'm going to pass student name, Rohan. And he is 21 years old, and his height is 170 centimeters. For now, I'm going to remove these lines. We don't need it. And then I'm going to create a method, and then I'm going to add a method in our programmer class, which is going to print all the programmer details. So here I'm going to type dev, and our method name is printProg, means print programmer details. Print underscore prog. Then inside the round braces, by default, it takes self as an argument. So here we need to pass self. Then inside this function, I want to return the same line of print details function. So I'm going to copy this line and I'm going to paste it here. Now, programmer class can access all the method from student class. With their programmer class have its own method, print prog. So in this return statement, I'm going to type programmer name is programmer name is self.name, self.age and self.height. And now I want to print this function in my terminal. Let me show you. So here I'm going to type print inside the round braces. I want to print Rohan details. So here I'm going to type Rohan dot, and I want to run print prog. Also you can see all the function names that we can run in our instance. Print hello, change leave, from str, number of leaves. These are all from student class, not from the programmer class. But here I want to run print prog function. So if I run this code, as you can see in my terminal, it print programmer name is Rohan, age is 21 and height is 170 cm. This is the example of single level inheritance. So this is the example of single level inheritance. But now I want to run another program. Rohan dot print details. This method is from student class. And if I run this program, as you can see, it's worked successfully. Name is Rohan, age is 21 and height is 170 cm. So Rohan can access his own class property, also student class property. But if I try to print prog function for Oliver, let's see. So I'm going to duplicate this line and comment out previous one. And here I'm going to pass Oliver dot, and our function name is print prog. Print underscore prog. If I set this file and run this code, as you can see, it's written error. It's written student object has no attribute print prog. Oliver instance made with student class. That's why it can access its own property and methods only, not programmer property and methods. But Rohan, who made with programmer class, and our programmer class inherit with student class. That's why it can access all the properties from student class and programmer class also. So this is it for this tutorial. In our upcoming tutorial, we are going to learn about it more. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again, I'm back with a new tutorial. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn single level inheritance. In our previous tutorial, you can see how we can inherit student class with programmer class. That's why programmer class can access all the methods and variables from student class. And now I want to add a new method in our programmer class. Also, I want to add a new constructor to our programmer class. So I'm going to create a init constructor inside the programmer class. Def underscore underscore init underscore 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 underscore. Then inside the round braces, I'm going to pass self. Then inside the init constructor, for now I'm going to type pass. I want to create a similar constructor as like student. So we need to pass total 3 arguments in our init function. And here I'm going to use the same parameters, sname, sage and sheight. So I copy the parameters name and paste after self. With that, I want to pass a extra parameter, which is language. So here I'm going to type language. With student name, age and their height, I want to take languages. I mean programming languages they work with. And then I want to print name, age, height and programming language. For that, we can copy the same code from the init constructor. But also we can use super. Super means I want to use super class constructor. Using super, we can call any function and constructor from super class. And we are going to learn about it in details in our upcoming tutorial, not in this tutorial. So here I'm going to paste the same variables. Self.name, sname, self.age, shage, self.height, sheight. With that, we need to take variable for language. Let me show you. So here I'm going to type self.language equal to language. Let's change the parameter name. S language means student language. Otherwise, it can confuse you. Student.language equal to S language. And when we create instance using this class, we need to pass another argument, programming language. So here I want to pass Python. So Rohan instance made with programmer class, and it has its own constructor. But in our previous tutorial, we use student class constructor to create Rohan instance. But here we use programmer class constructor. And now I'm going to call Rohan.printproc function. So here I'm going to type print Rohan.printproc function. And before I save this file and run this code, I'm going to add a new sentence to the printproc function. So here I'm going to type he is a inside the curly braces I'm going to pass self dot language programmer. Now printproc function going to print student name, student age, student height, and the programming language they work with. So let's set the file and run the code. As you can see, it's worked perfectly. Programmer name is Rohan, age is 21, height is 170 cm, and he is a Python programmer. So here we learn, after inherit with another class, we can use superclass constructor. Otherwise, we can create its own constructor. And also we can add new properties, values, and parameters to this constructor. And as I told you, this is not the right method to create constructor after inherit this class. We need to use superclass constructor. And we are going to learn about it in our upcoming tutorial, not in this tutorial. So thanks for watching this video. This is it for this tutorial. In our upcoming tutorial, we are going to learn multiple inheritance. So stay tuned for our next tutorial. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again, I'm back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn what is multiple inheritance. In our previous tutorial, we learned about what is single inheritance and how we can use it. So let's start the practical and see what is multiple inheritance. As you can see, I already create a Python file, main.py. And now I'm going to create two class with same function and property. Our first class name is grandfather. So here I'm going to type class keyword, class, then our class name, grandfather, underscore father. Then inside this class, at first I'm going to create a variable, and our variable name is wealth. So here I'm going to type wealth. Well, my grandfather is an old person and he has some real estate properties. So here I want to fill $50,000. And now we need to create init constructor to create instance variable. So here I'm going to type def underscore init underscore. Then inside the round braces, our first parameter is self. So as a default parameter, here we need to pass self. With that, I'm going to take some other parameters. Our first parameter is name. Then I'm going to take age. And then property. And our last argument is identity. And now, inside the init constructor, we need to initialize the parameter with a variable. So here I'm going to type self dot our variable name is name equal to our parameter name, which is also name. Then I'm going to duplicate this line total 3 times. And here I'm going to pass self dot age. And also our parameter name is age. Self dot property. And also our parameter name is property. At last, our last parameter is identity. Self dot identity. And our parameter name is identity. So When we create instance using this class, we need to pass total 4 variables: name, age, property, and identity. And now I'm going to create a method that can print instance details. So here I'm going to type def, and our function name is print details. Then inside the round braces, we need to pass one parameter, self. It's a default parameter. And as I told you earlier, self means the instance created with this class. So inside this function, I'm going to return a statement. Return. Here I'm going to use f string. Then inside the double quotes, name is inside the curly braces, self dot name. And then I'm going to type age is inside the curly braces, self dot age. And for properties, I'm going to type I have some inside the curly braces, self dot property. And then we need to print the identity. So here I'm going to type, and I am your inside the curly braces, self dot identity. So we successfully created a function that can print instance details, which is made with grandfather class. And now I'm going to create a class for another generation, for father. So I'm going to select this section and duplicate it. And here I'm going to change the class name, only father, class father. And father used to invest in stocks. That's why he made more money than grandfather. So here I'm going to pass $100,000. Hey, I did some silly typing mistake and I'm going to correct it. I am. And then I'm going to create another class for son. So here I'm going to type class son. And then inside the son class, I'm going to use the same print details function. So I copy this function and I'm going to paste it here. And also I'm going to initialize our variable wealth. So here I'm going to type wealth equal to only $25,000. He is young and investing in cryptocurrencies. That's why he has managed to make so much wealth so far. And also we need to move this method inside this indentation label. Now it's perfect. So here you can see we create 3 different classes for different generation. For grandfather, for father and son. And also you can see we assign a similar class variable to all this class, wealth. But we use different values. And now for some class, I'm going to change return statement little bit. Here I'm going to change the identity property, self dot identity, and I remove this property. And here I'm going to type, I am your son. So as you can see, we don't have any constructor in son class. We have constructor in father class and grandfather class. That's why we cannot use print details function and these properties in our son class. For that, we need to inherit son class with any of other class. We can inherit son class with grandfather class, also father class. So at first, I'm going to inherit with grandfather class, grandfather. With that, also I'm going to inherit with father class, father. So here you can see we use multiple inheritance in son class. First we inherit with grandfather class and then we inherit with father class. And next I'm going to create instance using all of this class. Let me show you. And now I'm going to create 3 instance variable using these 3 class. So at first I'm going to create an instance variable using grandfather class. So here I'm going to type a variable name and our variable name is James. James equal to, and I'm going to create this instance using this class, grandfather. So here I'm going to type grandfather. Then inside the round braces, here I need to pass total 4 arguments: name, age, property type, and relation. I mean identity. So at first, inside the double quotes, I'm going to pass James. Then comma. So grandfather name is James and he is 94 years old. And he has the owner of real estate property. That's why I'm going to type property type real estate. And then come identity. And relationship with son class is he is grandfather of son. So here I'm going to type grandfather. So we successfully created an instance using grandfather class. And now I'm going to create an instance using father class. So here I'm going to duplicate this line. And I'm going to remove James. And here I'm going to type Robert. Robert. Also, we need to change the name. Robert. Then I'm going to change the age. Age is 60. And he invests a lot of money in stock market. That's why his property type is stocks. So here I'm going to remove real estate and here I'm going to type stocks. And the relationship with son class is father. So here I'm going to type father. With that, also we need to change the class name. And as I told you, I'm going to create this instance using father class, not the grandfather class. So I'm going to remove grandfather. And if you notice, you can see we don't have any constructor in son class. We have constructor in father class and also we have constructor in grandfather class. At the same time, we inherit with two different classes. That's why it called multiple inheritance. So let's create an instance using son class. And the son name is Michael. Michael made with son class. Son. Then inside the round braces, again I'm going to type Michael. And he is a young man. His age is 26. And he is come from the new generation. That's why he invests his all money to cryptocurrencies. So here I'm going to type crypto. And then we need to pass the identity. And the identity is son. And now I'm going to explain you how multiple inheritance work. So I'm going to print Michael details. So here I'm going to type print inside the round braces. I'm going to type Michael. Michael dot print details. Print details. Now the question is, if I run this code, which print details function is going to print? As you can see, we have print details function all of this class. Son class, father class, and grandfather class also. So which statement is going to return? If the function is available in its own class, then it's going to return this statement. So let's print it. As you can see in my terminal, it print name is Michael, age is 26, I have some crypto, and I am your son. It's written this statement. Similarly, if you try to print Michael's wealth, so I'm going to duplicate this line and comment out previous line, and here I'm going to type Michael.wealth. In that case, it's going to return this wealth, 25,000. But what happened if I comment out son's wealth? Let's comment out this wealth. So as you can see, we comment out wealth from son class. Now you can see we have same wealth property in our father class and in our grandfather class. Now, which property is going to print? It's going to print grandfather class property because of the order. Because we inherit grandfather class first and then we inherit father class. So let's run the code and see what happened. So if I run this code, as you can see, it's print 50,000. And it is the wealth of grandfather class, 50,000. But if I comment out this wealth also, so I comment out grandfather class wealth and then set this file and run this code. Now you can see it's print 100,000. Now it's print father class wealth. So the conclusion is son class can access father's property, also the grandfather property. So after whip out his own property, he can access his grandfather property. And after whip out his grandfather property, he can access his father property. And if you notice, you can see there is no relation between father class and grandfather class. And both the class made with separate constructor. and separate print details function. And also you can see we don't have any constructor in our Sun class. So now the question is, which constructor is going to use to create the Sun instance? If the constructor is available in the Sun class, it's going to use its own constructor as like wealth variable. But if the constructor is not available in the Sun class, then it's going to find the constructor in grandfather class. And if the constructor is available in the grandfather class, then it's going to create the instance using this constructor. Otherwise, it's going to looking the constructor in father class. Let's repeat again. At first, it's going to search constructor to his own class. But if the constructor is not available, it's going to search the constructor to the grandfather class, because first it inherit with grandfather class. And if the constructor is not available in the grandfather class, then it's going to search the constructor in father class. So this is the benefit of using multiple inheritance. Here we inherit more than one class. That's why we call it multiple inheritance. So I hope now it's clear for you. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Hey guys, good to see you back. Once again, I'm back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. In our previous tutorial, we learned about what is multiple inheritance. As you can see on your screen, we open our previous file. And in our previous tutorial, we learned how we can inherit multiple classes with one class. And we call it multiple inheritance. But today in this tutorial, we are going to learn what is multi-level inheritance. So let's start it. So at first, I'm going to remove init constructor from father class. I just simply remove init constructor from here. And then I'm going to inherit father class with grandfather class. For that, here I'm going to use round braces. And here I'm going to pass our class name, grandfather. And now I'm going to inherit our Sun class with father class only. And so I'm going to remove grandfather class. So now the conclusion is, father class can access all the properties of grandfather class. In multiple inheritance, father class cannot use grandfather class property and their methods. But in multi-level inheritance, father class can access grandfather class properties. Similarly, son class can access property of father class. Also, he can access property of grandfather class. So, again, son can access both of the class property, his father class and his grandfather class. His father property and his grandfather property. Father and son, both the class, going to use grandfather class constructor, because now they don't have their own constructor. To prove it, let's call print details function from father class. So here I'm going to type Robert dot print details. If I save this file and run this code in my terminal, as you can see, it's print name is Robert, age is 60, I have some stocks, and I am your father. So how is this possible to create instance variable of father class without constructor? Because father class inherit with grandfather class. Similarly, if I call print detail method of son class, let me show you. So I'm going to read this terminal, and here I'm going to type Michael.printDetails, and save this file and run this code. Now you can see it's print name is Michael, age is 26, I have some crypto, and I am your son. Also you can see we don't have any constructor in son class, but our son class inherit with father class, and our father class inherit with grandfather class. So father and son both can use grandfather class constructor. In our previous tutorial, father class cannot access grandfather class wealth. But in this tutorial, father can access his own wealth, also he can access grandfather class wealth. Similarly, son can access his father class wealth, also his grandfather class wealth. But grandfather cannot access father class wealth and son class wealth. Let me prove you that. So here I'm going to comment out this line, and I'm going to print inside the round braces James dot wealth. If I save this file and run this code in my terminal, as you can see, it's written 50,000. But if I disable the wealth of grandfather class, so I'm going to comment out this and then save this file and run this code, now you can see it's written error, because grandfather class cannot access father and son class property. But if I uncomment it, let me show you, and call the same wealth variable for father class. So here I'm going to type Robert and set this file. Now you can see it's written his own will. But if I comment out the will and then set this file and run this code, now you can see he can access his father class will. But again, I'm comment out grandfather class will and then set this file and run this code. Now you can see now it's written error because grandfather and father both the class cannot access son class property. But son can access his father property and his grandfather property. Let me show you. So if I uncomment this line again, and now here I'm going to type Michael.wealth. If I set this file and run this code, now you can see it's written 25,000. But if I comment out wealth property, wealth variable from son class, also from father class, and set this file, now you can see if I run this code, it's written 50,000. So after wipe out his own property and his father property, he can access his grandfather property. This structure is called multi-level inheritance in Python object-oriented programming. So I hope now it's clear for you what is it. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Hello guys, good to see you back. Once again I'm back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial we are going to learn public, private and protected variable. Also we are going to learn access specifiers. So let's try to understand what is that. Let's try to understand what is public variable. Suppose you hang a notice outside your house, so everyone can see it. Now all the public, including your house members, can access the notice data. Basically I want to say anyone can access this data. So you give public access to the notice board. And now the question is, what is protected variable? Suppose now you hang your notice in your living room. So only your family member and you can access this notice board. No one from outside cannot access it. Now the data is protected in your house. But what is private data? Just assume that this time you hang the notice board in your bedroom. Now without you, no one can access it. This is called private variable. And to understand it more clear, let's start the practical. So as you can see, I am in my Visual Studio Code editor and I already opened my previous file main.py. And also you can see in my file, we have total 3 classes inherit with each other. Here you can see a variable inside the grandfather class. It's a public variable. Anyone can access it. And if I try to access this variable with an instance, yes, we can. So here I'm going to type print inside the round braces Michael.wealth. If I save this file and run this code, you can see the result. It's print 50,000. And now I'm going to make this variable protected. For that, we need to use underscore sign. Underscore will. And if I try to print underscore will, so I'm going to press run button. As you can see, it's worked perfectly. Because our class inherit with the base class, grandfather. That's why we can access it. And now I'm going to make will property private. For that, we need to use double underscore sign, underscore underscore will. And if I try to access this variable with double underscore will and set this file and print it, as you can see, it's written an error. Son object has no attribute will. So what's going on here? Python doesn't make this variable private. Here Python use name angling. And if you want to access private variable, in that case you need to use base class name with underscore sign. Let me show you. So here I'm going to type underscore and our base class name, grand underscore father. So if I set this file and run my code, as you can see, now we can access our variable. So always you need to remember that if you want to access private variable, you need to use base class name with underscore sign. So this is it for this tutorial. I want to explain it as simple as that. I don't want to make it more complicated. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Hello guys, good to see you back. Again I'm back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial we are going to learn what is polymorphism. In our previous tutorials we learned a lot about object and classes. If I describe polymorphism is a single word, polymorphism means ability to take various forms. This is not a function, not a class, and not a built-in module. It is a concept. The literal meaning of polymorphism is the condition of occurrence in different forms. Polymorphism is a very important concept in programming. It refers to the use of a single type of entity to represent different types in different scenarios. This is the good example of polymorphism, length function. If we use length function with string, in that case we can count total character of the string. But if we use it with list, we can count total list items. Also, if we use length function with dictionary, in that case, it returns how many key value pair in this dictionary. So the conclusion is, we can use length function to count the characters, to count the items, and to count the keys. So the changing behavior of this program is called polymorphism. Let me give you a little example. So as you can see, we are in my Visual Studio Code editor. Here you can see we have a class named grandfather. And inside this grandfather class, we have a function named printDetails. As you know, this is the example of multi-level inheritance. But if you notice, you can see in every class, they have their own printDetails function. So whenever we try to print printDetails function from this one class, it prints his own function. And if it is not available, in that case, it's going to print this one. Because son class inherit with father class, and father class inherit with grandfather class. And every time printDetails function override the previous printDetail function and print a new statement. This is one type of polymorphism. We achieve this polymorphism to override the printDetails function again and again. Let me show you another easy demonstration. So I'm going to remove all the lines from here, and here I'm going to type print. Print, inside the round braces, I want to concatenate two numbers, 6 plus 8. And then I'm going to duplicate this line. And now I'm going to concatenate to string. Inside the double quotes, again I'm going to pass 6. And inside the double quotes, here I'm going to pass 8. So let's save the file and run this code in my terminal. Here you can see it print 14. In our first print statement, it addition these two values because these are number. But in our second print statement, it print 68 because it's a string. So if you observe, you can understand according to data type, the concatenation sign changes the behavior. This is called polymorphism. So as I told you, polymorphism means take different forms according to condition. When pizza delivery is required, he is Peter Parker. But for action time, he becomes Spider-Man. It is the good example of polymorphism, isn't it? Now the question is, how we can achieve polymorphism? We can achieve polymorphism using overriding. We can achieve it, override any method, otherwise override any attribute. And also we can create it using Dunder method. What is Dunder method? We are going to talk about in our next tutorials. It's a special method. How can we change default behavior of an object using Dunder method? We are going to learn all of it in our upcoming tutorial. So this is a simple introduction video of polymorphism. In our upcoming tutorial, we are going to learn super method and overriding. And using it, we can achieve the polymorphism. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Hello guys, nice to see you back. Again, I am back with a new tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn super and overriding in classes. So as you can see, we are in my Visual Studio Code editor. And we already learned about what is overriding in our previous tutorial. But now I am going to keep deep focus on this topic. And for example, I am going to create some simple classes. So at first, I am going to create a class. And our class name is A. Then inside this class, I am going to use a class variable. And our class variable name is class var1. Class var1. And it assigned with a sentence. And inside the double quotes, I am going to type, I am in class A. And then I am going to create a constructor inside this class. So here I am going to type dev __ init __. And inside the round braces, I'm going to pass self. For now, I don't want to pass any argument. And inside this constructor, I'm going to declare a variable. For that, we need to type self dot, and our variable name is var1. And here I'm going to type inside the double quotes inside the double quotes, I'm going to type I am inside class A constructor. And then I'm going to create another class. And our class name is class B. Class B. And class B inherit with class A. And then inside this class B, I'm going to create another variable, which is class var2. Class var2 equal to inside the double quotes, and here I'm going to type I am in class B. And now I'm going to create two instance variable using these classes. So our first instance variable name is A. A equal to, and for that I'm going to use class A. And our second instance variable is small b. And I'm going to create this object using class B. So here I create two instance variable using both the classes. And if I print b dot class var1 and then save this file and run this code in my terminal, as you can see, it's print I am in class A. Because this class inherit with class A, that's why we can access this class variable. We already know how it's work. But if I create the same variable in this constructor, let me show you. So here I'm going to type self dot, and I'm going to copy the same line. And after self, I'm going to paste it. And also I'm going to change this sentence. Instance var in class A. If I save this file and run this code in my terminal, now you can see it print this variable, instance var in class A. Now, at first, it's going to search this variable in this constructor. If the variable is not available, then it's going to search the variable from class A. And we already learned about that. It is an instance variable, and you need to remember that. So first we create class A, and then we create class B. But we inherit class A with B. And inside this B class, we create only a variable, class var2. And if I try to print b dot class var1, then at first it's going to search the variable at B class. And it's going to search, is there any instance variable available named class var1? So as you can see, there is no instance variable. And then it's going to search the instance variable in class A, because this class inherit with class A. And as you can see, this variable is available in class A instance. That's why it's print the variable. So remember, every time it's going to find the instance variable rather than class variable. If I change the variable name, let me show you, class var1, and then save this file, and again I run this code, as you can see, it's also print the instance variable. Here you can see it's print instance var in class A. But if the instance variable is not available, so I'm going to comment out this line and then save this file and run this code. Now you can see it's print I am in class B. If the instance variable is not available, then it prefers class variables. And the class variable is already available in class B, that's why it print on class variable value. Otherwise, it's going to print class A, class var1 value. I am in class A. We already learned everything about in our previous tutorials. This is called overriding. We override variables from one class to another class. And now I'm going to show you how can we override methods. I'm going to override this constructor. So I uncomment this line and I'm going to copy it. And inside this class B, I'm going to paste it. And here I'm going to type I am in class B's constructor. Also, I'm going to change the instance variable value. Instance var in class B. So here we override our constructor. If I save this file and run this codes, as you know, now it's going to print this instance variable value, instance var in class B. Here you can see it's print instance var in class B, because it's find the instance variable its own class. That's why it's print this value. But if I comment out this line, then what happened? As you can see, I comment out this line. And now I'm going to save this file and I'm going to run this file again. Now you can see it's print class variable value. I am in class B. But as I told you, always it's looking for instance variable. If instance variable is not available, then it print class variable. And as you can see, instance variable is available in class A. And class A inherit with class B. Now the question is, then why it is not working? And why it print class variable value? Because we override the method. Now, for some reason, I want to run class A constructor, but it is already override. Suppose I create a special variable in class A constructor. Let me show you. So here I'm going to type self.special. Self.special equal to, here I'm going to type I am special variable. And now I want to access this variable using class B instance. So here I'm going to type b.special. If I save this file and run this code, as you can see, it's going to return error. Because as I told you, B variable constructor override A variable constructor. But if you want to access this variable after overriding, in that case, inside this constructor, we need to type super dot underscore underscore init. It means now I can access super class constructor. And remember, we need to use parenthesis after super. If I save this file and run this code, now you can see it's print I am special variable. So after override the constructor, if you want to access the previous constructor instance variable, in that case, you need to use super method. And in that way, we can use it. With that, also we can access variables from its own constructor. Let me show you. So here I'm going to type b dot and our variable name is var1. If I set this file and run this code in my terminal, as you can see, first it print I am special variable. It is from super constructor. Also it print I am inside class B's constructor. It is from its own constructor. So using super method, you can access both the classes attribute at once. So this is it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned. So good to see you back, guys. Again, I'm back with a new tutorial. And in this tutorial, we are going to solve a problem, which is diamond shape problem. But before, I'm going to explain you what is diamond shape problem in multiple inheritance. This problem creates confusion between classes when we use inheritance. If you use same method in all of this class, then it can create confusion. In Python, it is not so big deal. But other languages like C++, it create big confusion. That's why some languages is not support multiple inheritance. Here you can see a diagram. Here we create 4 classes A, B, C and D. Class B inherit with class A. Also class C inherit with class A. But class D use multiple inheritance. This class inherit with class B, also class C. So we can call B and C child of A class. But D made with B and C class. For D class, B and C both are parent class. And now I'm going to apply the same diagram in our code. So as you can see, we are in my Visual Studio Code editor. And I already created a Python file main.py. At first, I'm going to create 4 classes. Class A. Inside this class, for now, I'm going to type pass. And I'm going to duplicate this section. Class B. Class B inherit with class A. And also, I'm going to inherit C class with A. So here I'm going to type capital C. And now I'm going to inherit D class with B and C. B, comma, C. And also I'm going to change the class name from C to D. And now I'm going to create a method inside class A. So here I'm going to type def space and our method name is merit. Then inside the round braces, we need to pass cell. Then inside this method, I'm going to type print and I want to print a statement. And here I'm going to type this is a method from class A. Before I override this method, I'm going to create some object using this class. Our first object name is small a equal to, and I want to make this object with capital A class. Our second object name is small b, and I create this object with class B. Our last two object is class C and class D. And these classes are made with capital C and capital D. So we create 4 objects using this 4 class. So as you can see, we have a method in class A. And if I try to access it with D object, yes, we can. So here I'm going to type d.met. If I save this file and run this code in my terminal, as you can see, it's print this is a method from class A, because D class inherit with class B and C, and class B and C inherit with class A. That's why D object can access this method. But what if I override this method in B class? Let me show you. So here I'm going to type, this is a method from class B. If I set this file and run this code, as you can see, it's written this is a method from class B. As you can see, B class made with B and C, and B class have its own made method. Now it creates little confusion which method is going to run. But what if I override this function again? Let me show you. So again I'm going to overwrite it in C class, and here I'm going to type this is a method from class C. Now the question is, if I run this program, which statement is going to print? We have the same function in C class, B class and A class. But if I run this code, let me show you. You can see in my terminal, it's print this is a method from class B. Now the question is, why it doesn't print C class method? Now it's create little confusion. Because at first, D class inherit with B class. That's why it print B class function. If I change the order, let me show you. If I change C here and B here, then save this file and run this code again. Now you can see it print this is a method from class C. So remember, order is most important in inheritance. In Python programming language, it do not create big problem, but in other programming language, it create big confusions. Python language and syntax is very easy. On other languages, programmers always try to ignore multiple inheritance just for this confusion. So this is it for this tutorial. In our upcoming tutorial, we are going to learn operator overriding and Dunder methods. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned. Good to see you back, guys. Again, I'm back with another tutorial related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn operator overloading and Dunder methods. So without wasting your time, let's jump into the Visual Studio Code Editor and see what is that. So we are in my Visual Studio Code Editor. And as you can see, we have a Python file main.py. And I already created a class named student. And inside this class, we have a class method and a function named print details. With that, we have a class variable and init constructor. Here you can see we create 2 objects, Advan and Smith, with this class. And here we pass their name, their age and their height. If I run this code, it's not going to return any error. But if I join both the object and then run the code, let me show you. So here I'm going to type print, inside the round braces, I'm going to pass our first object name, Advan. Advan plus Smith. If I save this file and close my terminal and rerun this code, as you can see, it's written an error. It's written type error, unsupported operanded type. So using concatenation sign, we cannot join objects like that. But using Dunder method, we can join class variables. Behind the scene, we need to use a Dunder method, Dunder add, to add both the object. Let me show you how it's works. So here, after this line, I'm going to type def __ add function. It's a Dunder method. Then inside the round braces, we need to pass 2 parameters, self in the object. And here we need to take another parameter, which is other. And in this Dunder method, I want to add object age 21 plus 23. So I'm going to return self.age. Concatenate other.age. And now I'm going to run this code in my terminal. So I'm going to press run button. After run this code, you can see it's written 44. 21 plus 23 equal to 44. It is a special method that can use to join two different object values. It is a special method and we call it Dunder method, Dunder add. And it is help us to overload our operators. But it is not mandatory that every special method is used to overload our operator. And similar to this method, there are a lot of Dunder methods like AND, floor, TrueDiv operator, format, etc. And these methods are also known as magic method, magic otherwise Dunder method. Let me show you another example of this method. Let me show you another example. For that, I'm going to duplicate this section. I'm going to duplicate this Dunder method. And here I'm going to type another method name, which is TrueDiv. And here I'm going to return self.h divided by other.h. And also I'm going to change the value of this object. Here I'm going to pass 7. So if I print add1 divided by Smith and then save this file and run the code in my terminal, as you can see, it's written 3.0. This Dunder method overload the slash operator. And you can check out all the operators from the documentation. How you can use add method, how you can use AND method, how you can use float division method, etc. Don't worry, I will provide the link in the description. So this is the very simple and basic introduction of Dunder and operator overloading. Thanks for watching this video. Good to see you back, guys. Again, I'm back with another topic related Python object-oriented programming. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn abstract base class. Also, we are going to learn abstract method and ABC meta. But now the question is, what is abstract base class? Abstract base classes separated the interface from the implementation. They define generic methods and properties that must be used in subclasses. As you can see in my Visual Studio Code editor, there is a class named shape. It is our base class. And inside this base class, we have a function named printArea. And then we create another class named rectangle and we inherit this class with shape class. And inside this class, we have init constructor. And in this constructor, we declare two variables, length and breadth, length 6 and breadth 7. And also we override printArea function in this class. And here I create an object using rectangle class. If I run this code, as you can see in my terminal, there is no error. It's worked perfectly. And now I'm going to comment out this printArea function from the rectangle class. So I select and I comment out this. And if I run this code, again you can see in my terminal there is no error. It is completely normal behavior. Now base class going to implement a rule. If any of the class inherit with me, they must should override the printArea function. As you can see, rectangle class inherit with shape class. So if we do not override the printArea function in rectangle class, then it's going to return error. So if any of class inherit with shape class, then the class must override the printArea function. Now the question is how the base class can set the rule. For that, we need to use ABC meta class. With that, also we need to use abstract method. So here I'm going to import this module. So I'm going to type from ABC import ABC meta. With that, we need to import abstract method. Abstract method. Now, using this ABC meta and abstract method, this base class can set a rule. For that, inside the round braces, we need to type meta class. Meta class equal to ABC meta. And then we need to use the abstract method decorator. So I'm going to copy the name, and before the function name, I'm going to type @abstract method. Now this base class set a rule. If you don't override this printArea method in your class, then you cannot make any object with that. So if I save this file and run this code in my terminal, as you can see, it's written an error, which is type error. And as you can see, it print can't instantiate abstract class rectangle with abstract method printArea. But if I override the printArea function in the rectangle class, then what happened? So I'm going to uncomment this line and I'm going to override the printArea function again. If I save this file and run this code in my terminal, Now you can see, now it's worked perfectly. There is no error in our terminal. So this is the usage of abstract base class and abstract method. I hope now the concept is clear for you. Thanks for watching this video. So finally, we are going to start a mini project. And in this mini project, we are going to create library management system. And for this project, we are going to use object-oriented programming. In this management system, you can add book, you can delete book, you can link book, also you can return book. It's a completely terminal-based project. We don't want to use any graphical interface. And it's a very good project for a beginner to understand object-oriented programming. So without wasting your time, let's see some demonstration. So as you can see, we are in my Visual Studio Code Editor. After press run button, you can see in my terminal, it's print, welcome to National Library. And here you can see some menu options. Q for exit, display book, press capital D, link book, press capital L, return book, press capital R, add book using A, and delete book using DEL. And then it asks for user option. And here we use a while loop. So again and again, it's going to ask the option until we press capital key. At first, I want to display all the books. So I press capital D and then I press enter. After press enter, as you can see, it print all the books name which is available in our library. With that, it print the index number of this book. Our first book name is Rich Dad Poor Dad. The second book is Think and Grow Rich. And the third book is The 5-Second Rule. And last one is The Alchemist. After display all the book names, once again it asks for option. But this time I want to link a book. So I press capital N. After press enter, as you can see, it asks which book do you want to link. And I want to link the 5-Second Rule book. So I copy the name and provide in our input section. Then I hit enter and it asks enter your name. And here I'm going to provide the username, add one image. After press enter, once again it asks for option. Now let's try to link the same book. So I type capital L. Then it asks which book do you want to link. And I want to link the same book again. Then it asks enter your name. But this time I want to change the username, Smith. After press enter, as you can see, it's written a message. Sorry, this book is linked by add one image. So we cannot link the book which is already taken. If add one return the book, then we can take it. So once again I type capital D to display all the books. And now I want to add a new book to our library. That's why I type capital A. Then it asks enter book name. And the book name is Wings of Fire. And if I type capital D, as you can see, it adds a new book to our library. Now we have total 5 books in our library. And now we will see how can we delete a book from our library. For that, we need to type capital DEL. After press enter, as you can see, it asks enter password. And our password is 123456. And then it asks enter the book name which you want to delete. And I want to delete Think and Grow Rich book. After press enter, let's see how many books we have in our library. And now you can see we have only 4 books in our library. And we successfully delete Think and Grow Rich book from our library. Now let's return the book which Advan took from the library. So I type capital R. Then our program asks which book do you want to return. And I want to return the 5-Second Rule. Then we need to provide the username, add one image. Now again the book is available for link. Now anyone can link this book. I hope you like this mini project. It's a very good project for a beginner to understand object-oriented programming. Here we are going to cover all the concepts of object-oriented programming, polymorphism, classes, objects, etc. So this is it. Stay tuned for this solution. So finally, as you can see, we are in my Visual Studio Code Editor. At first, we are going to create a class named library. But first, I create a comment creating class for library. So let's create the class, and our class name is library. And inside the library class, I'm going to create a init constructor. So here I'm going to type def underscore init underscore. Inside the round braces, our first parameter is self. And in our second parameter, I'm going to pass all the book names. So here I'm going to pass list of books, comma, and in our third parameter, I'm going to pass the library name. And inside the init constructor, I'm going to create 2 variables because we need to assign the argument with the variables. So here I'm going to type self dot list of book equal to list of books. Here I use same variable name match with parameter. Our next variable name is library name. Self dot library name equal to library name. And now we need to create a blank dictionary to store all the book name and the username. I want to say if someone linked a book from this library, then we need to store the author name and the book name to this dictionary. So here I create a variable self.linkData equal to curly braces. It's a blank dictionary. And then I'm going to create some class method. Our first class method name is displayBook. And it takes self as an argument. And inside this method, for now, I'm going to type pass. And then I'm going to create another class method. So I duplicate this line and replace displayBook with linkedBook. Our next class method name is returnBook. So I duplicate this line and replace the name returnBook. And next, I'm going to create method for addBook. And our last function name is deleteBook. So I create all the necessary functions name that is used to handle our online library system. And if you remember the polymorphism chapter, this is the good example of polymorphism. According to the user input, our class going to run the particular function. Here I just create a one class. But according to the input key, it's going to return the result. A user can display book, a user can link book, return book, add book. Also user can delete book from the library. So this is it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we are going to create the main function. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned. Welcome back guys. This is the second part of this project. And in this section, we are going to create the main function. So let's start it. At first, I'm going to create a comment creating function. And our function name is main. So I'm going to type def main. Then inside the round braces, for now I don't want to pass any parameter. Then inside the function, I'm going to create two variables, list of books and library name. And I already created the variable in our another file, so I'm going to copy and paste here. This variable data type is list of books. And inside the square braces, we have total 4 books, Java, PHP, Python and JavaScript. I know these are all programming languages. But for now, assume that these are all book names. And then I'm going to create another variable, which is a string. And our variable name is library name. Library name equal to national library. So we have list of book and library name. So we are able to create the object using the class name. And our object name is my library. So I'm going to type my library equal to, and to create this object, I'm going to call library class. So I copy the class name and I paste it here. And as you know, to create this object, we need to pass total 2 parameters because our constructor take 2 arguments, list of book and library name. And we already have this variable in our function. So at first, I'm going to pass list of books. And in our second parameter, I'm going to pass the library name. So we successfully create an object using this class name, library. And now we need to create a menu system that user can access all the library options. And to create the menu, I'm going to type a print statement. So I'm going to just copy and paste it here. So as you can see in this print statement, in our first line, it's going to print welcome to National Library. Then \n for new line. Then capital Q for exit. Display book, press capital D. Linked book, press capital L. And if user want to return book, then press capital R. And if someone add a book to this library, in that case, they need to press capital A. And if you want to delete book from this library, in that case, you need to press capital DEL. And now we need to call this function. So here I'm going to type if __name equal to main. Then inside this if condition, I'm going to call the function main. Now you might think why we need to use if name equal to main function. Because our function is not imported from another file or a module. Because it is used to execute some code only if the file was run directly, not imported. Our function is not imported from any module or another file. We create our main function in this file. If you already knowledge about basic Python, otherwise little advanced Python, then I hope you already familiar with that. Now let's run the code in this terminal and see our menu section work properly or not. After run this code, as you can see in my terminal, first it print the library name. Welcome to National Library. In the next line, it print capital Q for exit. Then it print display book, press capital D. Link book, press capital L. Return book using capital R. Add book using capital A. And if you want to delete book, then press capital DEL. So our menu options work fine. So this is it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we are going to take user inputs. Also, we are going to work with our first two menu option, Q for exit and display book capital D. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Good to see you back, guys. In this tutorial, we are going to create two menu options. First, we are going to working with exit option, and then we are going to working with display book option. As you can see in the introduction of this tutorial, after press capital Q, it quit our program. And after press capital D, it display all the book names available in the library. So at first, we are going to work on Q command. So here I am going to use a while loop to ask the query again and again. So here I am going to type while, and inside this while loop, I am going to take user input, and I am going to store this input in a variable. So here I am going to type underscore input equal to input, and inside the round braces, here I am going to type a string. Inside the double quotes, option, semicolon. Next, I am going to print a separator sign. Otherwise, it's going to mess up with other options. So here I am going to type print dash 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 sign. And now I am going to use if condition. If underscore input equal to capital Q, then inside the if condition, exit equal to true. It means it's going to end the while loop. And by default, outside the while loop, I am going to set exit value false. Exit equal to false. So whenever user press capital Q command, in that case, it's going to end the loop. And this is how we can exit from our program. And also we need to mention it inside the while loop. Exit is not true. Inside the while loop, first it's going to take input from the user. And after take the user input, it's going to check with this condition. If the user input is Q, then exit variable become false and it's going to end the program. So let's save the file and run the code. Is it work properly or not? So after run this code, you can see in my terminal, it asks for option. And here I'm going to pass capital Q. After pass capital Q, if I press enter, as you can see, it's exit our code. As you can see, it's end our program. So we successfully create program for exit command. Now let's do some work for display book command. So here I'm going to type elif underscore input equal to capital D. Then inside the elif condition, here I'm going to call a function from our class. And to access the function from the class, we need to use the object. So here I'm going to type the object name, and our object name is my library. My library dot display book. I'm going to call display book function from our class. Now, if I save this file and run this code and press capital D, it's not going to work because in our class, our function is completely empty. As you can see in my function, for now, just we have typed pass. So we need to fill with the function some line of code to display all the book names. So inside the function, I'm going to use for in loop. So I'm going to type for index, comma, books in enumerate inside the round braces self dot list of books. Here we want to print book name with index number. Then inside this loop, I'm going to print index and book name. So I'm going to use a print statement. Print inside the round braces, here I'm going to use f string. Then inside the curly braces, index greater than sign, inside the curly braces, books. Now you might have question why we use enumerate function here. It's convert data collection object into an enumerate object because it is very easier to access. Enumerate return an object that contains a counter as a key for each value within an object. This is not the part of this tutorial. Now let's save the file and run this code. And now I'm going to press capital D. And after press capital D, as you can see, it's print all the book names with the index number. At our 0 index, we have Java, then PHP, Python, JavaScript. So I successfully create function for display book. And as you can see, again it asks for option because here we use while loop. And if you want to exit the program, you need to press capital Q. So after press capital Q and press enter, as you can see, it end our program. So this is it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we are going to work on link book and return book function. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned. Hello guys, good to see you back. Again, I am back with a new tutorial related to this project. And in this tutorial, we are going to create link book function. So in this function with self, I am going to take two other parameters. Our first parameter is book name. So I'm going to type book underscore name. And our second parameter name is author name underscore name. Then inside this function, I'm going to use if condition. So first, I'm going to remove pass. Then I'm going to type if book name in self dot list of book. self dot list of books. Then inside the if condition, I'm going to do something. So for now, I'm going to type pass. Then in our else section, else, inside the else condition, I'm going to type a print statement. Print. Inside this print statement, I'm going to type, you have written wrong book name. If the book name is not available in list of books, it means the book is not available in the library. In that case, it's going to print the else statement. You have written wrong book name. But if the book is available to this library, means list of books, then we need to assign the book to the author name. For that, inside this if condition, I'm going to use another if condition. So I will type if self dot link data. Inside the square braces, we need to pass the book name. Book name is none. Then inside this if condition, I'm going to type self dot link data. Link data inside the square braces, book name equal to this author name. Author name. Now the question is, what is the meaning of this two lines? As you can see, there is an empty list. Here you can see a dictionary named link data, and it's an empty dictionary. If any of book is not exist to this dictionary, then assign this book to this author name. I want to say, if the book is not linked, then assign this book to this author name. But what if someone already take the book? For that, we need to create the else part. So here I'm going to type else. Inside the else condition, I'm going to type a print statement. Print. And inside this print statement, at first I'm going to use a F string. Then inside the double quotes, here I'm going to type, this book is linked by, inside the curly braces, the author name who already take the book. So we need to type self dot link data inside the curly braces book name. And now we need to take the book name from the user and the author name from the user. So let's jump into the main function. And here I'm going to create another elif condition for link book. So I'm going to type elif underscore input equal to inside the double quotes capital L. Then inside the elif condition, I'm going to take user input. Here I'm going to take book name. So our variable name is book name. Book underscore name equal to input. And inside the round braces and inside the double quotes, I'm going to type which book do you want to link. With that, I'm going to create another variable for author name. So I'm going to type author name. Author underscore name equal to input. Then inside the round braces, inside the double quotes, I'm going to type enter your name. And now we need to call the link book function from library class. And as you can see in my function, here I need to pass total two parameters, book name and author name. That's why I create these two variables, book name and author name. And to access this class, here I need to use the object name, my library. My library dot our function name, link book. Then inside the round braces, here I need to pass total two arguments, book name and author name. So I pass name. And as second argument, we need to pass author name. Author name. If someone want to link a book, then they need to pass the book name and the username. Then link function going to check this book is available to this library or not. If the book is available, then it's going to store the book name and the author name to this blank dictionary. But if the book is already linked by someone, then it's going to print this else statement. This book is linked by the book name and the author name. But if you pass wrong book name, in that case, it's going to run this else statement. You have written wrong book name. So before I run this code, we need to clarify that when the author try to link the book is already exists to this dictionary or not. For that, we need to use a for loop here. So I'm going to type for books in self dot list of books. Then inside the for loop, I'm going to type self dot link data inside the square braces books. And now we need to assign this value with none. So I'm going to type none here. Nones mean no author have linked this book. So I write a comment. Nones mean no author have linked this book. Now we can add the linked book to this blank dictionary with the author name. So let's save the file and run the code. At first, I'm going to type capital D. After press capital D, as you can see, it shows all the book names. So from this library, I want to link Python book. To link book, we need to press capital L. After press capital L, I'm going to press enter. After enter, here we need to pass the book name. So I'm going to type Python. After Python, I'm going to press enter. Then it asks enter your name. Means we need to pass the username. And the username is add1. So I successfully linked the book and it add the book to this empty dictionary. If I try to link the same book again, let's see what happened. So I'm going to press capital L. And again I'm going to link the same book, Python. Enter. And again it asks enter your name. But this time I want to pass Smith. After press enter, as you can see, this book is linked by add1. Because after link this book, it add the book to this dictionary, link data. That's why it's print this else statement. This book is linked by the username, add1. But what? If I pass a wrong book name which is not available in this dictionary, in this library. So again I'm going to press capital L. And then I'm going to pass a book name which is not available in this library. And the book name is Hello. After press enter, as you can see, it asks for name. And this time I'm going to type Rabi. After press enter, as you can see, it written a message. You have written wrong book name. So this is how we can link book from our library. In the next tutorial, we are going to learn how we can return book. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Good to see you back, guys. Again, I'm back with a new tutorial related to this project. And in this tutorial, we are going to learn how we can return book. So at first, I'm going to create another elif condition. So I want to duplicate this line and here I want to replace L with capital R. If underscore input equal to capital R, and then at first I'm going to take book name and author name from the user. With that, I want to change the input string. So I'm going to replace lint with return. And now we need to understand if anyone linked a book from our library, then what happened? As you can see in our lint function, after linked a book, we set the author name to our dictionary. And our dictionary name is link data. And you can see the dictionary here. Link data. It's a blank dictionary. Now, let's print the dictionary after link the book and before link the book. So, here I'm going to type inside this if condition, print statement. Print, inside the round braces, I'm going to type self dot our dictionary name, which is link data. And I'm going to copy this line and I'm going to paste it after assign the author name. So let's save the code and try to link a book from our library. So after run this code, I'm going to press capital D. As you can see, we have total 4 books in our library. And from our library, I want to link PHP. To link a book, we need to run L command, capital L. As you can see, now it asks which book do you want to link. I want to link PHP. Then we need to pass the username. And the username is add1. After press enter, now you can see, we have total 2 print statement. In our first print statement, it print the dictionary before link the book. And in our second print statement, it print the dictionary after link the book. Here you can see before link the book, we set all the book value none. As you can see, PHP value is none. But after link the book, here you can see PHP value is username add1. It means we assign this book to this username add1. That's why if someone try to link the same book, PHP, they can't. Let me show you. So again, I'm going to type L command, link. And this time, I want to link PHP. But this time, I am going to pass a different username, Arnav. After press enter, now you can see it's written, sorry, this book is linked by add1. Why it's written add1? Because in our link data dictionary, we set the value of PHP book is add1. Now, if add1 return the PHP book to this library, then someone else can link the book. For that, again we need to make the PHP value none. So let's see how we can do it. So now, let's back to the return book function. Return book. And this function take total 2 parameters, book name and author name. Then I'm going to remove pass, and here I'm going to use if condition. If book name in self.list of books, self.list of books, then inside the if condition, for now I'm going to type pass. And in our else part, I'm going to type a statement. Here I'm going to type a print statement. You have written wrong book name. It's mean if the book is not exist in our library, then it's going to print this statement. You have written wrong book name. Then inside this if condition, I'm going to use another if condition. And here I'm going to type if self.link data inside the square braces book name is not none, and here I'm going to use the operator and, because I'm going to check total 2 condition. In our first condition, I mentioned if the author name is available to this particular book. That's why I use is not none. Then after AND operator, I'm going to type our second condition, and this is our second condition. In our second condition, I match the author name with the exact author name. This condition means suppose add1 link the book, but someone else tried to return the book to this library, they can't. Only add1 can return the book. That's why here I pass author name. And now I'm going to move this condition inside round braces. Then inside the if condition, I'm going to type, here I'm going to type self.link data book name equal to none. It's mean if the book name and author name match with the condition, then again set the book value none. With that, also we need to handle the else part. So I'm going to type else. Inside the else condition, I want to print a statement. Here I'm going to type print. Inside the round braces, sorry, this book is linked. So we almost create our return book function. But I want to print a successful message after return the book. So inside the if condition, here I'm going to pass a print statement. Print return successful. With that, I want to print link data dictionary. This is the dictionary. Print self.link data. So we almost done. But before I save this file, we need to call this function in our main function. So I'm going to copy the function name return book. So and let's back to the main function and elif condition. Here you can see after run the R command, we need to call return book function, not link book function. And I'm going to save this file. And I'm going to run this code. As you can see in my terminal, it asks for the option. At first, I want to display all the books. So I press capital D. And now I want to link the Java from this library. So here I'm going to pass capital L for link book. Which book do you want to link? Java. Then I press enter. Now we need to pass the username. And the username is Arnav. Then I press enter. Now you can see in my terminal, it print 2 print statement. In our first print statement, it print link data dictionary before assigning the book to the Arnav. That's why book value is none. But after assign this book, now you can see this book value become Arnav. And all other books value is none. It's mean if someone try to link the book, they can't because it's already taken. But if Arnav return the book to this library, then someone else can. So Arnav decide to return the book, but not by himself. He sent someone else. So I'm going to press capital R to return book. Which book do you want to return? I want to return Java. Then it asks for username. But now I'm going to pass wrong username. Add one. After press enter, as you can see, sorry, this book is linked. Now you might confuse why it print this statement. If I show you my function, as you can see, here we set total two conditions. Our first condition match with book name because here I pass Java. But our second condition do not match with the author name because here I pass add one, not Arnab. If I pass Arnab, then it match with it. That's why it print the else part. Sorry, this book is linked. And now Arnab tried to return the book by himself. That's why Arnab press capital R. Which book do you want to return? And the book name is Java. Enter your name, Arnab. After press enter, as you can see, first it print return successful. Then it print the linked data dictionary. And here you can see again Java value become none. It means someone else can link the book from this library now. So let's link the same book from this library. So if I press capital L, which book do you want to link? I want to link Java. Enter username. Enter your name. And I'm going to type Ravi. And then I press enter. As you can see, now this book is assigned to Ravi. So we successfully create the return menu option. I hope you enjoy it. At the next tutorial, we are going to work with add book menu option and delete book menu option. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. Good to see you back, guys. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how we can add a new book to our library. For that, we need to create another elif condition. So here I'm going to type else if underscore input equal to and our command name is A, capital A. Then inside the elif condition, first I'm going to take book name. So first I'm going to copy this variable and I'm going to paste it here. And here I'm going to type which book do you want to add. Now let's jump into in our class. And here I'm going to create our function add book. Basically, this function take only one argument, book name, book underscore name. To add a book in our list, we need to append the book name in our variable, and our variable name is list of books. Here you can see the variable name, list of books. So here I'm going to type self dot list of books dot append function. Then inside the round braces, I'm going to pass the argument name, which is book name. That's it. With that, also we need to verify it. Is this book is available in our linked data list or not? For that, we need to type self dot linked data inside the square braces book name equal to none. It means after append the book in our list, also we need to provide none value in our linked data dictionary. If we do not set none value, it's going to assume that this book is linked by someone. Then our program not work perfectly. Now save this file and I'm going to call this function in our main function. So I copy the function name and here I'm going to type my library or object name dot add book function. Add book. Then inside the round braces, we need to pass the book name, this variable. Now let's save the file and run this code and see is it work properly or not. So at first I'm going to display all the books. So I press capital D. With that, now I want to add a new book to this library. So I'm going to press capital A. Here it asks which book do you want to add. I want to add C++. Then I press enter. And now I'm going to display all the books. So I press capital D again. Now you can see in our library it add a new book C++. So we successfully added new book to our library. So this is it for this tutorial. In our next tutorial, we are going to learn how we can delete books. Good to see you back, guys. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how we can delete books from our library. Also, we are going to add a secret key system that without knowing the secret key, no one can delete the book. So at first, let's create this secret key. So here, I'm going to create this secret key. So I create a variable name secret key underscore key equal to, and our secret key is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can add your own secret key. This is up to you. Then I'm going to save this file. And now I'm going back to the main function. And here I'm going to duplicate this section, elif condition. And then I'm going to change the input name. If user press capital DEL, it means it's going to trigger the delete command. At first, inside the elif condition, I'm going to take password from the user. So here I'm going to create a variable named password equal to int inside the round braces input function input, and here I'm going to type enter password. And now I'm going to verify the password with secret key. For that, here I'm going to type if condition. If inside the if condition secret key equal to password, then inside the if condition I'm going to take book name from the user, which book user want to delete. So here I'm going to type a variable name book name equal to input, and here I'm going to type enter book name. Book name. Name. With that, also I'm going to call the function delete book. So I'm going to type our object name myLibrary dot delete book. Then inside the round braces, I'm going to pass the parameter name, which is book name. Book name. So now let's back to the class and create the function. With self, I'm going to pass another parameter, which is book name. Book underscore name. And inside the function, to delete the book, I'm going to use remove function. Self dot list of books dot remove. Then inside the round braces, book name. With that, also we need to delete the book name from lin data. So here I'm going to type self dot lin data dot pop function. It's going to delete the book from the dictionary. Then inside the round braces, we're going to pass the book name. Book name. And I'm going to save this file. After save this file, I'm going to run the command. At first, I'm going to display all the books. As you can see, we have total 4 books in our dictionary. And from this dictionary, I want to delete PHP book. For that, we need to run del command. So I'm going to type del. So here, I'm going to type del. After press del, it asks enter password. We need the secret key to delete a book. So our password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to press enter. Then it asks enter book name. And here I'm going to type PHP. After press enter, it deletes our book from our list, from our library. If I press capital D to display all the books name and press enter, now you can see we have only 3 books in our library, Java, Python and JavaScript. We successfully delete PHP book from our library. So this is how we can create delete book function. I hope now it's clear for you and enjoy the project. Thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for more projects.